Hello, my name is Janie Cobb and welcome to the Library Week portion of your Comp Research course. I will be joining your course this week for an introduction to library research. We'll be taking a look at an introduction to research in order to prepare you for your senior papers that you will be writing in the degree program here at the National Labor College. During this week, we'll be taking a look at several aspects of research. One of the things that we'll be looking at in particular is the Wikipedia. A lot of times when students are doing research, one of the first resources that they navigate to is Wikipedia. Because when you do a Google search, Wikipedia is one of the first results that come up in your listing of results. And so we'll be taking a look at Wikipedia. In fact, because there are several problems with using Wikipedia for research. In fact, the creator of Wikipedia indicated that he would not recommend that students use that resource tool for research. And we'll be taking a look at some of the reasons why in this week's lesson. We'll also be taking a look at scholarly resources. When you're conducting research for articles for your research paper, your professor may indicate that you are required to use scholarly resources in your research. Well, what is a scholarly resource, and how do you determine the difference between a scholarly resource and a popular press publication? We'll be taking a look at some of the criteria for scholarly resources and see if we can determine the difference in using scholarly resources versus popular press publications. We'll also be taking a look at the library's research tool, EBSCOhost, which is a database that we make available to students of the National Labor College. If you've already taken the Intro to Labor Studies course, you may have already been exposed to EBSCOhost. That's quite all right. We'll be using it in this week's lesson in a different way, and so you'll have an opportunity to be exposed to EBSCOhost and use it for research in this week's lesson. Now, in order to use EBSCOhost, you must have a library patron ID. This number is separate from your student ID. If you haven't received one already, you will be receiving one this week that will allow you to search and retrieve articles from EBSCOhost. And EBSCOhost is a compilation of about 15 or 16 different databases, and you have an opportunity to search them simultaneously and retrieve full text articles. One of the other things that we'll be taking a look at in this week's lesson is the library's electronic guides. We've put together an electronic guide pertaining to labor and industrial relations, which is sort of a one-stop shopping for labor information on the internet. You can go to the library's labor guide and find labor-related information on collective bargaining, on statistics, on union contracts, on unions in general, on union news-related articles. So you can go to the library's labor guide and find a whole host of information pertaining to labor and industrial relations. And that link to the guide is included in this week's lesson. It's also available from the library's website. So there are a number of steps that are involved in this week's lesson. There's also a discussion forum based on Wikipedia, and so I do ask that you complete each of the steps in sequential order so that you can be assured that you are completing each of the steps. And when you've completed all of the steps, the last step in this week's lesson is a quiz, and that quiz will be a culmination of everything that you've learned in the previous steps. So I put this week's lesson together, and I hope that you'll find it helpful information. It's very informative, and it's useful not only for your studies here at the National Labor College, but also as you continue in your professional studies and professional work as well. If you have any questions about any aspect of the lesson for this week, please feel free to call me. My email address is jcobb@nlc.edu, and it's included in this week's lesson, as well as my phone number and mailing address. So feel free to contact me if you require assistance. That concludes the introduction and the welcome for this week. I do welcome you, and I look forward to working with each of you. So let's get started.